What about those who have never heard the gospel? Part number 2. This is part 2 of this series, so I suggest watching part 1 first, because there we set out some basic truths on which we build in this part. As I said, I work as missionary in the middle of nowhere on Madagascar, and I have heard this question many times. What will happen to those who never heard the gospel? Where do they go when they die? In the first part we have found out that actually every single person on this earth deserves to be punished for his or her sin. And that's the only just and honest position God can take. But we concluded also that this is not the end of the story. So let's dive in a little bit deeper, shall we? So what is actually known to mankind? Well, let's take a look at nature. Because it might be good to examine what we as humans actually do know. You see, there are at least 2 things all people can know about God. Let me take you to the first thing. So come with me to Romans 1 verse 19 to 20. Where Paul writes this: because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath shewed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So, by just looking around us, we should know that there is a God. I don't care how highly educated you are, how much you think to know about biology. It should be abundantly clear that the world, with all its living creatures, has a creator. And really, the whole mumble jumble about evolution isn't even discussed among most unreached people groups anyway. In the Netherlands, before you want to share the gospel, you first have to explain that there is a God. Well, that is not the case where we live now. People are already aware of that, just by looking around. And since I like anecdotes, I'll give you one to think about. You see, my Malagasy friend, who is an electrician in the capital city, once asked me what people in my country believe. And I told him that many believe in Jesus. All of them? He asked. No, I said. Actually, I really wanted to avoid talking about atheism and the like. But my friend persisted and I gave in. I said, many believe that there is no God, and they believe that everything came into being by pure chance. So now my friend was quiet for a moment, and then he asked me a new question. Do the Dutch go to school? Yes, almost all go to school. And I immediately knew where he was going. And then he said, do many of them go to universities? And again, yes, we have many high educated people in Holland. But this was so difficult to grasp for my friend. He said, how can it be that people that are so smart like the people in Holland still believe that there is no God? How on earth can they believe that all we see came about out of nothing? Well, I hope this anecdote made something clear to you. Okay, let's move on to the second thing people can know. Let's read Romans 2, verse 14 and 16. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves, which shew the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the mean while accusing or else excusing one another. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. And what do you know? Wherever you ask people whether murder, for example, is wrong, they would almost always say yes. Morality is universal. And I admit that there are things in this world going on that undermine good morality. Abortion is such an example. But deep inside the human brain there is this knowledge of right and wrong. Their conscience will either accuse them or excusing them for the things they say and do. The Bible teaches us that God will judge men according to their secrets. So when someone who never heard the gospel appears before God, they cannot say that they never knew anything about God's standard. Everyone knows right from wrong. Maybe they don't know the nitty-gritty of God's laws, but the basic stuff is there. In the end, men will be judged by their own conscience. So what do we know now? Well, first of all, we can dismiss the idea that somehow God isn't fair towards people who've never heard the gospel. Fair would mean that every single man and woman receives punishment. Nobody is without sin, and that's why everyone falls short big time. Nobody is sent to hell because God arbitrarily chooses to do so. No, we end up separated from God because of our own misbehavior, our own wrongdoings. And secondly, we also know that nobody is without an excuse. Looking around and being honest, we all have to recognize that there is a God. I admit that this doesn't per se means that we should recognize him as the God of the Bible, but at least we know that there is a higher being. Also, and this is the third point, it is our own conscience that accuses us or excuses us. We all have this built-in compass to tell us that what we are doing is right or wrong. From this point on, justice is that we are all condemned and everybody is aware that there is a God and every human is aware of morality. From this point on, we can try to find out how God is dealing with this issue of people who have never heard about the saving grace of the gospel. However, I'll save that for the next part of this series. For now, I would like to point to the description of this video. I'll put a link to an essay with the title Why Mission Matters, seen from a secular viewpoint, in there. Also, you'll find ways to support me and an invitation to Apologeet.nl. My videos can also be watched on BitChute and YouTube, but I am mostly active on Odyssey. So if you want to comment on this video, I would suggest doing so on Odyssey. But to comment, you'll need an account, and if you use my invitation, we both receive some LBC for free. So thank you for watching, and I wish you God's rich blessing, and we'll see each other in the next video. Thank you for watching this video. You can give me a thumbs up if you liked it. You can also subscribe to my channel, or even better, follow me on Odyssey. That way you will never miss a new video. You will find all the links in the description below.